2025.
It is the first Monday of 2025. And Rebecca, we got a little bit different setup here today. Pretty excited about all this.
We do. This is we've done this before, but it's been a while, and so we're trying to get the kinks out. So if you happen to not be able to hear us, or happen to not be able to hear if somebody jumps in on Zoom, just let us know, please, because we're we are not DJs or or IT specialists, so
Yeah,
we're
that's
we're
right.
kind of just working through this and remembering how to get all into it.
Yeah, because I'm just remembering we did not test this out on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, we didn't.
So hopefully that our those of you that are watching live on Facebook or watching on LinkedIn, hopefully you can hear this. If you can't, just send us a message. We can see our messages here. Send us a message if we can't hear this. I got something going on with my eye this morning. It's it's
We got
flickering.
some,
It just
yeah.
yeah. I don't know what's up with that.
I think there's a medical term for it. I don't know what it is.
Flickering.
I know one of the things that I have a hard time with this is up there's the camera, so I have to look in it to talk to the audience, but down here's where I can see me, and so I got to remember we're talking to the hello, good morning, talking into the camera.
It's a little bit different, isn't it?
It's a little strange.
Yeah.
So
we're watching down here to make sure everything works, but we're looking up there when we want to talk to people.
Yep.
So
all
right.
Last week, we kind of talked about looking forward to 2025, setting those goals and setting the plans for the goals. So
Yeah.
I hope, we've spent probably the last week and a half here and there going through and dissecting our business.
Yep.
Making some changes, good changes.
Mm-hmm.
There was things from 2024 that we had found that didn't work. So we kind of pivoted and making some changes, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I really am.
Yep.
So one of the things with our call today, I think we're going to spend the year just discussing different aspects and avenues of personal development. And I think one of the reasons that we kind of talked about doing that with Monday Mindshift is, who you are is kind of the key to everything.
I'm going to go and say it's not kind of, it is. It is the key.
Yeah.
It is the key. The one thing that we've talked about years ago is that, when it comes to personal growth and development, the one thing that we often forget is that if we're going to grow the business, you have to grow the business owner. And my friends, that's the one thing we can't take for granted. But the question always comes up, well, who's the business owner? Well, it's your responsibilities. It's the position that you own. It's the space that you are working in. That's what you own. And when you think about it from that perspective, when you own that space, your job, your position, whether you're working in a factory line, whether you're in sales, whether you're in leadership or management, if you own a position, that is what you want to grow and develop for.
Yeah.
And if you think about what that really means, you can't grow your opportunities unless you are growing as a person. It's so fundamental. And it took me almost 35 years before I started to realize this, And once I did, though, it just became game changing for me.
Well, and this, it goes into your personal relationships. It goes into your social relationships. I mean,
Yep, absolutely.
This affects every part of your life. So, talking about personal development and excuse me. Talking about personal development and the things, somebody cannot change it for you. It's things that you need to be aware of, and maybe you're perfectly content where
Yep.
you're at, and that's just fine. But if there's something that you want to work on, if there's something that you want to develop more, that's up to you. So we want to, there's things that you and I have talked about that I have not looked at the correct way or seen it a way, and listening to somebody who has a different way of seeing it has been a tremendous help. Now, I will say you're not always right, but uh, there is a lot of times that I have to go, oh, huh, I never really thought of it that way, and has kind of given me just a different perspective, and that's kind of what we're here to do, is just kind of give a different perspective. Um, you know, you may not always agree with everything that we say, and that's perfectly okay. We're not here to browbeat you or make you change your mind on things that you believe. I think what the biggest thing that we want to do with Monday Mind Shift is just give you things to ponder, give you things to think about, and look at it in maybe a different
Well,
avenue.
the whole idea behind mind shift is to change something. It's shift your mindset. The thing I love about the word mindset, it means that we're actually stuck on something. We have a belief system that we stick to, right? And when you realize that we're mindset, we're stuck, we're in that current way of thinking. And what Monday Mind Shift is about is getting unstuck. It's maybe looking at what we've always looked at and then breaking it down into something bigger, better, different. And the thing that I know about, John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid. There's a lid on our capacity and in every aspect of life. And when we understand that capacity, that lid is is capping us out in all these different aspects of life, we have to look at it in such a way, or we don't have to, but we recommend that we look at it in such a way that's like, what do we have to do to raise the lid? And a lot of that is shifting the way that we think. It's shifting the things that we think about. It's the level in which we think. It's the quality in which we think. And if we raise the lid of our thinking capacity and the capacity in which we're working, then we can go further.
Yeah.
We can go further. And that is really a big part of what this Monday Mind Shift is all about, is how do we take where we're at right now and elevate that so we can get a different outcome, right? So it is a shifting of our mindset, a shifting, a changing of what we believe or maybe what we think, so that we can see it at a bigger level, a higher quality level, or whatever it is that you're looking for.
Well, and a lot of the topics that we will probably be discussing, um, some of them we've might have touched on before.
Hmm.
We will touch on them again. Some of them you know, are things that we find very valuable. Um, and it's good. I'm glad that we have the ones that join us on Zoom and Facebook, and because sometimes listening to their perspective of things is good for us. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
not that's why we love the discussions and the point of views, and
Yeah.
it's been really good. I'm excited for this next year and the things that we're going to do, and the topics. I've kind of got the list of topics out for quite a while, and I'm excited about them. They're going to be good. Some
Yeah.
of them are kind of hard to hear once in a while, but
They're hard to
that's what's
swallow.
good. That's what's good.
Yeah. You talk about our clients and our customers and raising awareness. You know, that's one of the things that I've learned over the years is when I'm working with someone and we're dialoguing back and forth, or we're working on a project, it's then that the awareness is raised. It's either an awareness of something that I need to think about differently, or maybe an awareness that collectively the two of us need to think about differently. or maybe it's something that we need to just completely change in general. But it's through dialogue and through communication that we recognize that. But I would say a lot of our growth comes from our customers and our clients
Yeah.
and our discussion with them, because we see what the industry needs. But if people don't talk about their struggles, they don't talk about their wins, they don't talk about their high points and low points. If we don't talk about them in a coaching session, we miss out.
Well, and I think a lot of it, people do like to talk about their high points. They do.
Oh,
They
yeah. The
don't like to
wins we
talk
always
about the
do.
low points. They
Yeah.
don't like to talk about, oh, I messed up on this. And you know what? You asked me, I could tell you about everything that I've messed up on, and there's probably some things I don't realize I messed up on, and I did. But I it's the learn. Sometimes my learn takes a little longer than others, but that's where you grow from. I mean, you grow from those learns, and this, I will say, this last year has probably been a big learn for me. Um, it's what you do with it after that. It's where you take it after that.
Yeah.
And you talk about awareness, and that's going to be one of the discussions that we have next week. We are going to start from there, and it's something that we just discussed not too long ago, but we're going to dive just a little bit deeper into it,
Into awareness.
into awareness. We're going to spend a couple weeks on it, and being aware. Sometimes we're not aware of the things that we need to be aware of, and somebody comes along and says, "Hey, did you realize this?" And you don't, and it's a little bit humbling, but it's good to hear, and you just got to work through them. I mean, you got to work through it. For me, it's reading more. um you know I've talked about my Facebook addiction, I guess you could call it, because I will go down a rabbit hole on it. And it's one of those things that if you did it just once in a while, it's y- it's okay. For me, I don't do that. It's very hard. I start seeing things that intrigue me, and then it just takes more and more time. But I guess my awareness of actually how long I was spending on doing that, because in my mind it was just a little bit here and there. It wasn't. It wasn't actually. It was a pretty decent amount of time, but so now I'm conscious of it. When I get on there, I'm conscious of the things that I do. So it's been better. It's been better. It's not completely
Well,
taken,
so
but
let's think about that though from an awareness standpoint. We'll just give this as an example. In our live events and our workshops, we'll talk about the power of an hour,
mhm,
right? And when you're looking at an hour of time, you don't think about it as being a big deal. You don't. I mean, we sit down, we eat lunch for an hour.
mhm,
We watch TV for an hour, and that hour is not a big deal to us. But here's the problem. For every hour that you take every single day, if you take an hour and multiply that every day for a year, that's 365 hours.
mhm.
And if you divide 365 hours by a 40-hour work week, that's
That's almost 10
nine.
weeks.
Yeah, it's 9 weeks plus. And when you start looking at that, you're like, I don't have to, when people say, I don't have time to do this,
Yeah,
I don't have time to read, I don't have time for personal development, I don't have time for personal growth. Really? Or are we choosing something different?
yeah,
Right. And that is where we have to look at our awareness. We have to look at that and go, how much time am I actually spending versus investing in myself? Do I spend my time, which means I give it away and it's not coming back to me? Or do I invest my time, which means I put it into something that pays me back?
yeah,
That has been such even for me, even though we teach this, just looking at this last year for me how much time I have spent that will not give me a return.
Yeah.
So that's one of my core focuses for this year, is to invest more time that's going to give a payback. And that is a huge awareness when you realize that an hour a day, 365 days, you can add almost a whole quarter of work to your life, or improvement, or something of value to your life, when it's so easy to spend an hour. So easy to spend it. It's not as easy to invest it.
It absolutely, absolutely. For me, time management is going to be a big thing this year because
Yeah.
um, I literally am going to have to carve out time that I want to do things, because I'll start doing a project and I get a lot of squirrels, and then I start on something else and I start on something else, and it's just, it kind of snowballs. And I literally am going to have to shut my phone off, turn it over so I can't see it, so I don't get the notifications, and just sit down and do the task that I need to do.
Yeah.
So that's gonna, even with Monday Mindshift, preparing for it and thinking about it, and so I'm able to give the best of what I can on the subjects that we talk about. It
Yeah.
does take time, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When you realize, the time is your greatest asset. You can make more money,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can do more events. There are so many things that you can do, but time is the one thing you cannot buy more of. You cannot, once it's gone, it's gone. You can waste time. You can't make time. There are so many things about the subject of time that makes it fun to talk about. But when you realize that, 30 minutes from now, Rebecca, when this time is over, when Monday Mind Shift is over, we're not getting it back.
Right.
This is time invested. I see it as investment, because even as we prepare for these things, we're preparing to talk about these subjects. We think about it. We're always in the space of growth around this. And to be able to come on here and talk about this, even just the practicing communication, the fact that we're talking, we're practicing the art of communication. This is time invested in my mind. This is an investment in us, and we want to share it with you. That's really what Monday Mind Shift is. But I can promise you, 7 o'clock rolls around, we're not getting this time back.
That reminds me of so I had a coaching call this week, and we were discussing, his 2025 goals and where he wanted to be, and he wants to grow his clientele substantially. And I asked him, so between 2023 and 2024, how much had his clients changed? And he made mention that not a lot. And I said, so what do you think restricted you from growing that? And his answer was, I just didn't have enough time. So looking at where he wants to go in 2025, I asked him, I said, okay, so if you didn't have time last year,
Yeah.
how are you going to have time this year? There was a couple things that he is no longer doing, but has kind of already filled that with other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not, you're not going to make more time, so you have to make the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
You have to choose.
Yeah.
You have to make choices.
Yep.
The thing about time versus money or other things of that nature, you can make more money. You can't make time. So you have to choose well.
Yep.
You have to choose very, very well with your time. And that's really one of the hardest things that I've learned, that I'm still learning. Choosing well with my time is tough,
Yep.
because there's things I need to do in emails, there's things I need to create, there's things I need to talk about, there's videos I need to send out. There's all these different things. So how do you prioritize the time that you have with anything that you're going to do?
Well, and even even I guess we should have named this time. We should have named the
Well, it's
positions.
awareness, still awareness around
Still
time.
awareness, personal development
Yep.
time, um, but utilizing the time that you are
Yep.
doing it, you know? Um,
I still think, Rebecca, you and I have talked a lot about this because social media is so powerful
mhm.
in a good way. It's powerful in a negative way. But from an awareness standpoint, how does social media impact your life? Right?
So I
Think
was
about that.
discussing that kind of with my coach the other day, and, I was talking about watching these reels
Yeah.
on Facebook, and I said, "I have all these reels saved of foods that I will probably never make, of all of these crafts that I will probably never do." Um, and I feel I'm like, "Oh, man, that looks good. I need to save that. I need to save that." And I go through and I see these things, and but then I tell myself because if I want to cook something, I'll either Google it or look it up on Pinterest real quick.
Yeah.
I don't even go back to my reels. So I'm absolutely doing nothing with them. So what am I doing? I
Yeah.
am wasting my time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's something that we all have to think about is the choices that we're making. Are we growing? Are we declining? Are we staying stagnant? The thing that I've learned is there's no neutral ground. We are either growing or dying. My
Mhm.
granddad said that years ago, back in the 80s. My grandfather made the comment that, Kylen, you're either going to always be growing, you will always be dying. You
Well,
can't have it two ways.
it's sometimes we're surviving. That's the middle ground,
So
but
you are
that's
surviving.
what we
Yeah.
talk about. Are you thriving, surviving, or dying?
Yeah.
Because you're doing one of the 3. We use that with a lot of the smaller towns that we go through, and when we're driving all the time, we ask, is this town surviving, thriving, or dying?"
Yeah.
But you as a
Yeah.
person are doing the same thing.
Absolutely. And it's sometimes hard to swallow when you realize that it's so easy to waste time.
Yep.
It's so easy to do that. So,
So, as we mentioned, we have not had a setup like this for a long time, so we're gonna probably open up some discussions if
yep.
anybody on, Zoom would like to talk. So if on Facebook you cannot hear them, please just send us a message so we can figure that end out.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. So anybody on Zoom that wants to come in and share some thoughts or share some ideas, that would be great. Love to hear your opinions on 2025.
yep,
What some of your goals are for 2025. Maybe you got something you want to share.
absolutely.
Maybe you've got a topic that you'd love to have us discuss over 2025, or maybe there's a mind shift that you've brought to your own awareness over 2025. And
Yes, we'd love to hear it.
so we'd love to hear that. Um, these subjects that we are talking about on Monday mornings, I would like to see some guest speakers come in on Mondays.
We how about we discuss that when we're not on the mind shift?
See, this is how I
See, that's
think, and
I
this is
know.
how
Well, no, you like to bring it up when we're in.
I
So
know.
I'm.
See, we need some
It's
we need
not a
some
bad idea.
speakers.
I'm not. It's not a
Yeah.
bad idea.
But
But
it's an opportunity for us to, hear from other people. So anybody want to unmute on the Zoom side and share some thoughts? And if you are on Facebook, by all means, give us a chat. We'll post it up here. We'll talk about it, and we can chat it over that way. Hey, you're building a little crown up there.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for telling me.
No, I was just letting it grow.
Yeah,
Letting it
thanks.
grow. I knew sooner or later you'd be aware of it.
Yeah, I can see it on camera.
David, how you doing this morning, my friend? Yeah, for sure. And it's the 6th of January, which is kind of mind blowing to me already. Time is flying by.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, and I don't want to misstrew this. Sometimes you have to take some time for yourself. I mean,
oh,
sometimes you
absolutely.
you absolutely have to take some time, regroup, um, think, you know, one of the things that we like to do is drive around and dream. Drive we'd love to go for drives and just see the countryside and um so you do have to take time for yourself. It's if it's catching up to you, if it's taking over what you are doing, then there's you need to step back and go, okay, is my time that I am taking for myself, is that overtaking some of the things that I want to
Mhm.
achieve and
Yeah,
and build on. So, but I do, you do have to take some me time, some family time. I mean, absolutely. There's times that I want to sit down and just watch a frivolous show that makes me laugh that has nothing to do with anything, just to clear my head, and then get up and move on and go.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like David said, his a lot of what he has done in the past, his time between Christmas and New Year's, part of
Mhm.
his culture from Australia, that's holiday, that's vacation. You go to the beach. It's a different space than we are here in the States. The most important thing though is to remember that what you're doing with your time, be fully invested in it.
Yep.
You know, that's the struggle that I have with social media is it's just a scrolling. It's just this nonstop viewing of other people's activity and not your own. And that's where, I struggle with it myself when I'm doing it. I think it's a struggle that our society has
Well,
because
and
we see a lot of what has been created, but we're not creating.
but also when you see stuff on social media, most of the time it's all the good stuff. It's all the
The
I
highlights,
think,
yeah.
I think back to one of the pictures we sent. We sent it to my sister, um, and we were out to eat someplace, and, we're both sitting by each other, and we're smiling like cheese, and she sent back, she goes, "Oh, that's a great picture, that looks really great," and I said, "Yeah, you should have seen the one 2 minutes before it." So I sent her that one, and it was both of us going, "Would you please scoot over here? Get over here so we can take a picture so everybody thinks we're happy."
Yeah, everybody, you always share the highlights, and that's the truth of the matter. I mean, we all are in different spaces at
No.
different times, and it's just being real with yourself. So, it is again, like David said, there is a time to shut down. There's a
Mhm.
time to shut down, relax, recuperate. But when you get back at it, get back at it,
Yep.
and wherever you are, be there. If you're at a family dinner with your family, be there. If you're at work, be there.
If your daughter's listening to this, she's going to give you a call when we're done,
Well, I hope so,
because
because,
sometimes you struggle with that.
well, of course I do. I do. But you also know one of the reasons why I work so
I
hard.
understand that, but
The things that
be there.
I know.
Sometimes you gotta be there, and,
Sometimes you do have to be there. So, no, good discussion.
now that
So
you're putting this out so everybody can hear it, they're gonna be watching.
I hope so, because I
Yep.
need to be better. That is for
Accountability.
sure. That is for sure. Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. Do you have any one in particular that you'd recommend, David? Okay. Well, it's yeah, that's a great idea. We need to deep dive into a couple of them.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be good.
That's, talking about that. That was one of the dissections of our business that we need to get back into and got some good ones. But there is actually one, another one of my coaching calls the other day we discussed. It's called Buy Back Your Time. And it talks about that. It talks about, your social media or just frivolous time spending, but it also talks about things in your business. Good book. That's a good book. That's not probably one that we'll deep dive into, but that is
That's
a good
definitely
book.
worth reading.
Yep.
All right. Well, very good. Well, Rebecca, we're right up to the top of the hour, and this is a great kickoff, I think, to 2025.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're going to deep dive into awareness, and this is fundamental. If you're leading people at any level, you need to have an intense level of awareness.
Yep.
In fact, if you're familiar with our pillars at the 3i Life, the foundation of our pillars, there's 6 different pillars that we talk about. And one of the 6 fundamental pillars is awareness.
That's the very first one.
You've got to have awareness. If you don't have awareness, then you're making changes. You're doing things that you shouldn't probably be doing unless your awareness is right. Your awareness is in a system that you're using for the right reasons, right? Just to have awareness, but then what to do with it.
Yep.
Right? You're aware, but now what do we do with that? And that is part of the process. And we have to get very, very good at understanding what to do with that. In agriculture, as an example, where we invest a lot of time, we're oftentimes aware that we don't get the things that we want, but then what do we do with that? We get stuck. And we don't always shift.
Yep.
We don't mind shift to the place we want to be. And that is one of the things we have to really talk about. So I'm anxious to dive deep into the concept of awareness.
We're going to talk about those each for the next few weeks and then some exciting stuff after that. So
sounds good.
So we got a year planned. Looking forward to it. And
yep. There's some good stuff coming out this year.
Bring us your suggestions and your comments. We'd love to hear them.
Yep. One last thing that we might talk about, just as a promotion for 3i Life, we're really ramping up the 3i Life event, if you will. And one of the big things we're doing with that is a keynote. We're going to have a keynote coming out that's just focused on what is a 3i Life.
Living a 3i life.
Living a 3i Life. And the thing that Rebecca and I have talked about over the last several weeks is the importance of this concept in anyone's life. That's the whole thing. The 3i Life is happening around you, but are you aware of it? Are you intentional with it? Are you creating what you are created to create? Are you actually building a 3i Life, or are you just accepting it? And there's a huge difference in that. And that's one of the things that I'm really excited to be bringing out.
Yeah.
I know I'm super pumped on where we're going to take that. So, all right.
Well, this was good.
Yep.
Like I said,
new setup. Thank you. We got some comments on our new setup. So thank you for joining us here, working through some of the struggles. I think everything worked. So we'll plan to be back here. We're going to be in this location, I think, for about 6 more weeks.
Yep.
And then we'll be in a different location again. As you guys know, we're traveling from point to point. So we'll be doing these things from different places. So, all right, my friends, God bless. Make it amazing. And we'll see you back here next week.
All right. Everybody have a great day.